Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shotante Olusegun. In today's video, we're going to dissect how to manifest anything with FOE part 2. In the previous part, I used this time energy wave model to analyze how we can manifest things. Basically, we need to know how the universe works for us to be able to manifest. But in this particular video, we're going to really dive deeper into it. So now the first thing I want us to really dissect is going to be the Einstein's quote. One of Einstein's quotes. And the quote says, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when created them." We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when created them. So now I'm able to understand this quote even better now, because what Einstein was trying to say in the quote is that when you focus your attention on a particular problem, you are actually warping the relativistic scaling of time to energy for you to actually focus on that particular problem. And when you are in that state will increase energy, and as a result of that, you are going to have high entropy. So you can't actually instantiate anything by disorder. So basically, for us to get answer to problem, we will have to relax attention in order for us to relax the scaling of time to energy, for us to have enough room that we converge things. So we get to instantiate things by convergence. So basically, we're going to go really deep into the mechanical system of that as we progress. So now there are a couple of Bible verses that we're going to actually look at, but before we actually treat the Bible verses, I want to briefly talk more on that manifestation system. In the part 1, I said that at the present phase, because the present phase is where we have the reality of the universe, we have a positron outside the system, which must be injected into the system for us to have trajectory into the black hole. So the present phase can be likened to the event horizon. The future phase can be likened to the black hole. Then we have the past right there. So in this time energy wave model, we have figures. And now this is the wave amplitude at quantum level. If we substitute that in the formula of everything, we have this to be formula of everything, the TDM, capital UM plus 4M. Now this is the formula of everything. By the time we put this value in the place of these two M's, we're going to get this particular value, and it is 0.0000000143. That is the remnant of the real electron. So basically, the way I explain this is that we have the electromagnetic field, because this particular formula deals with unification of quantum mechanics to classical mechanics. And so this whole region that we have down here, this is the quantum realm, while we have the classical realm up here. So now in the quantum realm, we have electromagnetic field, and then in the classical realm, we have gravitational field. You can tell by the operation of magnetic field, of electromagnetic field, which is to decay mass, and as a result of that, we have the remnant of the electron. Now, there is a suspension here, because by the time you actually use the electron mass, you substitute that in the formula, you're going to get the counterpart, which is the classical mass watt, and that is 2,277,250,000 kilograms. And so if you supply the classical mass watt into the formula such as to arrive at the quantum mass watt, to confirm the quantum mass watt, then we're going to have the wave amplitude that will suspend the strong conveying force, which is Un, to the weak conveying force, which is 4m. So now, by having that suspension, then once we annihilate the suspended zeros, we're going to actually traverse from the suspension at classical realm down to the quantum realm. And so time can actually break through this suspension at quantum realm to connect to the positron, which is the antiparticle of electron. Now, why is it that we have positron here? Well, the thing is, this suspension, by the time time breaks through this suspension, we're going to have what is known as spontaneous symmetry breaking. And then by having that, there is going to be radiation. And now, by having the radiation, we're going to have O in the sea of the Dirac, in the Dirac sea of energy, because Dirac said that we have sea of energy, negative sea of energy, where we'll as well have electrons. And because electrons are fermions, so there is no way electron can travel from this system down into this advanced realm, except we have O that we, serve as positive energy to attract the fermion, which is electron. So once we have this spontaneous symmetry breaking, then we're going to have that positive charge of electron to be positron. So basically, as we have this trajectory, then we have the creation of particle of electron, as the electron in the system is being decayed. And when it gets to this point, the moment time breaks through this suspension, then it is being converted to positron by having a positive charge. And so, because of that flip, then the positron will be injected into the system, and by being in that compressed space, narrow space, then the positron will be unstable, then it will decay. That will propel momentum into the black hole. So now you can see that at the present phase, which is the event horizon, we have records of information. So information is not in any way lost. So now that is that. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the positron is operational in the black hole, and that could attest to the fact that that could attest, or that could as well prove the fact that we do not see antiparticle of electron in the pass phase, because we have the whole of the pass phase to us, while the black hole is a region that nobody has ever accessed. So that is that. So positron is outside the system, and when it gets to the point of spontaneous symmetry breaking, we have it injected into system to be operational in the black hole. So that has actually explained the matter-antimatter conundrum, or matter-antimatter enigma. So that is how to explain that. So now we can see that we have the flipping of trajectory by time. So at this point, the constancy of light is at its limit, and so there is no energy to sustain momentum into the black hole. So time has its own energy, and it could travel to break that suspension to connect to that positron. So positron is needed as an energy, as a source of energy supply for that projection into the black hole. So that is how the universe works. So once we understand this, then we'll be able to, get the system right as to manifest whatever it is we want to manifest. So now, let's get to this particular diagram. Now, this is the diagram. It is mechanical system of manifestation. In the part one video, I have actually explained this do phase. The do phase is the trajectory to the point of manifestation. And once we have the right trajectory, then we'll be able to manifest whatever we want to manifest. But now here, the B phase is the virtual blueprint. So how can we now get that? How can we get the virtual blueprint? In the evolutionary expansion, there is suspension, and we call that suspension inflationary suspension. So inside the suspension, we have only electromagnetic field. So the electromagnetic field, based on the compactness of the space, will then, turn to clumps of energy. And the clumps of energy that we have there is what we classify as virtual blueprint. Now, this blueprint is very essential because before you can actually manifest anything, you need to have the virtual blueprint of what you want to become, of what you want to achieve. And so once we have the blueprint, then we can as well have possession. But there is one thing that we need to know. This virtual blueprint must as well have a representative at the present phase, and it is that representative that we actually, determine the trajectory that the action phase will go through. So the representative of the virtual blueprint that we have is that remnant, the remnant of the electron, which is the 0.0000001423. That is what we have there. So now, by connecting to that, then that blueprint can then connect to the real mass worth of the positron, which is what we have outside. So the positron is the instantiation of quantum reality, and that is going to serve as the real mass worth of electron that we're going to actually capture. And then we have the mass worth, the classical mass worth is the instantiation of classical reality. So basically, the trajectory is to connect to both the real mass worth of classical mechanics and the real mass worth of quantum mechanics. So now, half phase. The half phase is the achievement / possession. Now, in the present phase, we have achievement. So once it is connected to the classical mass worth, that is the achievement, because that is the reality at the present phase that we want to achieve. And then once it's connected to the positron, that is the achievement. You understand? So now, the possession, because what we have achieved at the present phase might not be what we eventually own as the possession, because the moment this positron is injected into the system, and then we have momentum towards the singularity of the black hole, in the black hole we have another suspension. I mean, we have another we have suspension, another suspension, and we call that neutron star suspension. So inside the suspension we have only gravitational field, and because of the compactness of the space, then we have clumps of mass. So the clumps of mass that we have is going to serve as the eventual pulsation. So that is going to be the eventual pulsation. So now we can see that there must be a kind of connection, because now if you look at it, you see that at classical level we have achievement that will be connected to the pulsation, and even at quantum level we have quantum achievement that will be connected to the pulsation. So basically there we have interface that can connect to what we want to achieve. And so the interface, we must have the interface to virtual blueprint, which is the remnant of the real electron in the system. And then the interface that we have right here, that we have in the achievement phase, that is going to be the instantiation of the achievement to the final possession, which is the clumps of mass that we have right there. So now we can see that to really manifest, there is a powerful tool that we need to use, which is attention. Now, how can we define attention? Attention is going to be a power of concentration. I will define it as a power of concentration. When you try to focus on something in such a way that you neglect other things, you are paying attention to what you focus on. So for us to manifest, we must first of all be in the focus state. That is, you put your attention to a particular problem that you might want to solve, you understand, and by so doing you are focusing the attention, and by focusing the attention you are warping the time energy interaction. And when you are in that state, just as I have said, just as I have initially said, in Einstein's quote, Einstein said that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Now, when you focus attention, you are going to be in this phase, because the time energy will be so warped that it will get concentrated towards the singularity of the future. And when you are in this state, you are in a narrow scope. You are in a very narrow scope. And by being in the narrow scope, you'll be able to understand the problem quite all right, because there will not be interference of other particles that could corrupt your observation or your verdict. So that is why we need to first of all focus attention to understand. And when you understand, the moment you understand the problem quite all right, you have instantiated that problem into your mental attitude or into your mental thinking. So attention is more is a mental focus, is a mental thinking. You understand? So once you have that in your brain, the next thing to do, in order for you to be able to get the accumulation of ideal solutions to the problem, is for you to relax the attention. When you relax the attention, then you get back to this present phase. And by being in that present phase, you'll be able to cause mass convergence. And by having mass convergence, then there is going to be a localized instantiation. When you have a localized instantiation, then you have achieved. That means you have achieved necessary solutions to the problems. So that is how we can get to manifest. That is how we can get to manifest. So now that we now know how to manifest, now I want us to dissect. I want us to get the view, the biblical view of how to manifest, right? By going through these 3 Bible verses that we have. But before we do that, let's quickly go through. I want us to go through this again, though we have dissected this in the part 1 of the video. The B state is you are the constructive structure of time relativistic scaling to energy as a controlled mental attitude of worth instantiation at any point in time. That is what you are when you are in this B phase. The do phase, your actions must be based and mirrored on the mental attitude generated at any point in time for ideal trajectory and measured instancy to your goal. And that is energy. You see that worth, energy, and reality are being underlined. And then the half phase, that would be the manifestation of reality at any point in time. And that is the creative achievement of who you model your B state, which is this B state, into at free will. So now, we must go through these 3 phases before we can manifest. And that means that you need to move from B phase down to do phase. Then you need to move from B phase through to do phase, then down to half phase. So you need to be what you want to become first before you become that particular thing. So right now, we're going to get the biblical view of it right now. So now, the first verse is going to be Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3. And so we are there already. And here it is. Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So now, what that Bible verse is saying is that things that we can see, they are made of things that we don't usually see. And what that is telling you is that the quantum mechanics is being powered. It's more or less like the foundation for the classical mechanics that we have. So there is no way we can, though we know that there is divergence between the classical mechanics to quantum mechanics, but classical mechanics cannot be isolated from the quantum mechanics. So we have the spontaneous symmetry breaking to unite them, and that is what I've used in my scientific research publication, by using formula of everything to arrive at that spontaneous symmetry breaking to unify quantum mechanics to classical mechanics. Because we have the emergence of, even we human beings as we have our emergence from that quantum mechanics to classical mechanics, right from when we couldn't have even seen anything at all to what we currently are as human, something that people can see. So that is what that Bible verse is telling us. So we need to search for things that are not visible for us to understand things that are visible. That's what the Bible verse is saying. So now we're going to check the second verse, which is Luke 12. So now this is Luke chapter 12 verse 25. And so this is it. And which of you with taking thought can add to his stature 1 cubit? I'll read it again. And which of you with taking thought can add to his stature 1 cubit? Now, Bible understands that we cannot instantiate manifestation by worries. Now, the worries that we have in the Bible says that you cannot make anything happen by worries. So the worries that we have can be exemplified by the situation of by having high entropy. Because when you have an increased or when you have increment in energy, so you have an increased energy level, that means you're going to have high entropy. And when you have high entropy, it will result to disorder. So you cannot instantiate any form of manifestation by having disorder. So you can only instantiate manifestation by having convergence to breed order. So now that is what Bible is telling us, that we cannot achieve anything, we cannot add anything, we cannot achieve anything by exercising worries. So it's by relaxing ourselves, by taking our minds away from worries, that is the virtue through which or by which we can manifest things. So the last verse, we're going to dissect the last verse now, which is Ephesians chapter 5 verse 3. So now we are dissecting Ephesians chapter 5 verse 13, and so we are there already. This is it, 13 here. So, but all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. For whatsoever do make manifest is light. Again, but all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. For whatsoever doeth make manifest is light. Now, that is it. It says that whatever it is that can actually be instantiated as manifestation has to be through light. Now, you can see what we have here. Light has to be light, just as its name, for it to be able to reflect on something and have a couple of that. And that will take us to why we usually have a flipped version of an image in a projection. Okay, let me reframe it. When you use a projector to project something onto the wall, the image of what you are trying to project will be flipped upside down in the projector. Then we have to flip it upright before we can actually see it onto that screen as something that is being upright the way it ought to be. So why is it that we usually have the flipped version of an object inside? And that same thing goes to what we'll observe. When light is focused on a particular object and gets to our eyes, there is going to be a flipped copy of that image inside our eyes, but we are able to see the real one based on the reflection of the light. So basically, it might be that what we see, just as I have analyzed it in this time energy wave model, could be antiparticle or antimatter. So the real mass worth that we have left at the present phase is the antimatter of what is being used up in the system. For instance, positron, which is the antiparticle of electron, is what we eventually see the moment time breaks through the suspension to have spontaneous symmetry breaking. So basically, we can see that light has that power of reflection for us to see, it has that remnant of electron to connect to the real positron, to inject that positron into system as something that is manifested as our reality. So the mass worth the mass worth at quantum level that we get access to is nothing but the antimatter of the matter that is being used up in the system. So basically, we can even see it in the system. I need to briefly say this. Now we see the trajectory of light being downward slope. That simply means that the electron that is being used up in this system is the original electron. And we can see that by having this negative inclined momentum, that simply stands for the charge of the electron. Now the moment we have positron into the system, see how the energy keeps on increasing, and this is a positive, or let's say positively inclined momentum. This is a negatively inclined momentum, and this is positively inclined momentum. And from there you can get to see that positron is what we have outside the system, while real electron is what we have inside the system. So electrons mass is being decayed to have radiation that will support mass convergence mechanism at classical level. That is the system of the universe. And so by having that trajectory the way we have it, then we get to confirm the reality that positron is what is needed in the black hole, while the real electron is what is needed in the past phase of the universe. And so we have the two, we have the old information at the present phase, and so the present phase is the phase of reality. So that is that. So now, if you really enjoy this video, you can help us smash that like button for real, and then make sure you share this with your friend. We want it to travel as far as wide as possible. Then it's a novel discovery. I'm going to share the link to my research publication in the description below, so you can just click on that and explore this as we have it. So that is that. Make sure you use your attention to manifest whatever you need to manifest, and don't forget that you have to be what you want to become before you can become that particular thing. God bless you.